Welcome to today's class. I came across this beautiful material and I decided to do something with it. And for what I want to make today, I will be needing the measurement I'm taking now, 6 inches wideness, and then the length depends on what you want. You can work with any length. The reason I'm using 6 inches is because I'm working with the 3 inches crinoline. So by the time I fold it, I'll just need about 3 inches after fold. Alright, and then for the main turban, I have a 29 inches for the wideness, and then the length I'll be using is about that 29 too, so between 29 and 30. So the length is also 29, so 29 by 29. So I will start by sewing it. I'll start by sewing. So to sew it, I need to locate the part of the material that is very stretchy, because that's the part I should use as the band or for the base, the very stretchy part. So now that I have known the very stretchy part, I will start by sewing the first part of the turban. Before I forget, this is a body pleated turban. So it's a body pleated turban, and the first thing I did was to take in about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and then I'll sew. So I will just continue taking in 2 inches and then sewing. When I take in 2 inches, I'll sew. The safest way, or should I say the best way you can do this to achieve a very good result, is if you would have patience to first of all mark out the distance through which, or the distance you want to use for your fold. If you want your body pleat to be a big one, you can go above 2 inches. If you want it smaller, then you can use 1 inch. Then if you want it moderate, you just use your 2 inches and it will be perfect. So for me, I did not actually take any measurement for my fold. I'm just folding using my mind. You understand now? I don't have the patience of ruling first before folding, so I'm just folding and trying as much as possible to be accurate with the size that I'm using to fold. So but for you to achieve a very accurate pleat, I will advise that you first of all take your measurement, rule it, and then you sew. But for me, I don't do that. Alright, you can see the body pleat, and because I did not measure, it is not really like a perfect measurement all through, but it is fine, it's okay. Alright, the next thing that I will do is that I will prepare the band that I want to use, the band. You can make a V band, you can make a straight one. It's a thing of choice. Whatever style of band you want to use is your choice. It totally depend on you. You can make a pleated band, you understand. That is, you can create your pleats in the band before attaching it. But for me, I will be doing a straight band for this tutorial, and this is the band I have. Usually the width of my band is maybe 5, or highest I'll use 6, but mostly I use 5. And then the length, the normal length for head I usually say is 22, but when I am going to sew I might exceed 22, but when I'm doing my finishing I might just be using 20. I hope you understand that explanation. Alright, so I want to fix the band. So to do that, you saw me, I placed the band flat, after which I just turn the right side of the turban now on it. So where I'm pinning now is the wrong side. You can see this is the back, but the front is facing the base. So once I'm done pinning, I'll just use my machine to sew it. The reason I pin is to ensure that the turban is in place before I sew it. That is to ensure that I have it where I want it before I'll go ahead and sew. So you can see, even without sewing, when I turn it now, you can see that it is perfect. Okay, in this very tutorial I added loop to it. I added loop, and to I added loop to it. So I simply locate the midpoint of the turban now, and then I simply add the loop. If you are going to be using your loop, you can make any size. It's a thing of choice, but I think for a moderate one you can just have let me say 4 inches, 5 inches, or highest 6 inches, so that when you fold it, it will come back to like 3 or 2.5 inch, and you can see the part I'm using to face down there. Now the length totally depend on whatever you want to use it to cover, but at least if you work with 6 inches for length, by the time you are done picking your turban in it, you can then cut off the excess. Yes, you can always cut off the excess. So I will advise that you work with 6 by 6 or 5 by 6 inches for the loop. Alright, so I'm just joining the base, that is the band. I'm just attaching the turban to the band. So now that I am done sewing it together, I'll just pick it together, and then I'll use the loop to turn it over, after which I will sew the loop again. I will attach that loop to the part I cut off just now. You know, when I was attaching the loop to the band, there is a part of it that was remaining outside. I cut some of it off So you can see what I'm doing there. It is on that particular uh, point now that I will still sew the loop. So you can see what I have done. So the next thing I will do is that I will use the my machine to sew that part to secure it properly now, after which I will cut off the excessive or the excess part that you are seeing there. So I'm just trying to explain the part I will sew it to. So I'll just use my machine to secure that part, then I'll cut off the excess. If you can use your interlock machine, also known as the weaving machine, at this point, I think it will be perfect. That is to give you a good finishing and that already made look. So you need to use your weaving machine, or we call it interlock machine, to give a good finishing. So after what I have done, I will just take the measurement for the base, and usually because this material is a stretchy material, I will just be using 10 inches. Now there's something I normally do when I'm doing a body pleat turban or body pleated turban. Please just watch the way I will sew it, so that if you like it, you can be using the method. I find out that if you use the same measurement for your base to sew the whole body, the body pleat at the back don't used to drop well. It will want to look like something that is suspended and is not the cap itself will not be too okay for me. So for me, I sew it in a slanted form. So if you don't understand it, please watch the video again, watch that part again. When I started with 10, but as I continue sewing, I begin to move, you understand, the full length. So I gave a kind of opening that will enable the final back of this body pleat to have a very fine dropping. So I did not just sew it with 10 inches straight. No, as I was sewing, I opened it up. So that's what I'm trying to explain. So after doing this, I will just use my thread and needle to just do a loose stitch that will allow me to gather it together. That is to do a gather. So for me to do that, I'm going to be leaving the band out of it. You understand? I'm not starting from the band. I am starting after the band. Yes. So I will just make sure that the first part is well secured. After that, I just do a loose stitches and then a loose stitch, and then I'll drag it together to create this gather. It has a way of giving it a good finishing. So that's what I want to show to you now. The final look. The turban is ready. The next thing I'll do is to design. So this is the final look. You can see this is the back, and then this is the front where I have the loop, and you can see how beautiful it is looking. So right now, and you can also see the back how it's dropping. It's not that tight and just staying on top, you understand, because I had to move my sewing. So if you like that method, you can use it. Just try it. If you don't like it, you don't use it, but I use it always. So the next thing I'm doing is that I'm creating my design. I showed you this material before that I used 6 inches, and then for the wideness, and then the length actually depend on the length of the bow you want to make. But I have the long one. The long one is about I think I made about 18. Then for the short one I made about 14. That is as length, but the width is 6. By the time I was done sewing, I ended up with 3. So this is just it. I'll just use my needle and thread to secure it tightly, and that way I would have formed the bow. So when I'm done forming the bow, I'll just cut off the excess acrylic that will be showing either underneath or on top of it. I'll just use my scissors to cut it off. So the pattern I'm making, I have one long one and then two short ones that I will just be crossing together. So I always ensure that I secure the bow in such a way that it will not easily lose. And one other thing is that I always encourage that you make your thread very thick. So if you fold your thread into two, by the time you are done threading your needle, you have four. But if you fold your thread into four, by the time you are done threading the needle, you have eight. So when you are doing any work that you want to really make sure is permanent, I want you to fold into four, and so that by the time you are done threading, you have eight. It will help your work to be well secured. So right now I am done preparing my bow. This is the long one. I said I used about between 18 and 20 inches, and then I folded to get this length. And then for the short ones I used 14. So I made the two short ones with 14. Yes. So the next thing I'll do is I'm going to fix it now. And to fix it, I'll simply, you see me, I'm using pin. But every part that you see me pin down, I will later use my needle and thread to secure it as well. And again, something you should take note of is that the thread with which I secure the bow is the same color with the material. This is so that this is to ensure neatness and what do I call it now, uniformity in what I am doing. So this is just it. This is just all. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial for today. I'll be seeing you in my next tutorial. So for me, it will be bye for now. And if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so. I want you to belong to this community because you will never regret being here. Thank you so much. Do have a nice day. So after this part, you can add anything to embellish it. You can add your brush, you can add your pearls, your beads, or whatsoever you want to use. All right, bye.